Hey, Pica here. In today's snippet tip, I'm going to give you a way to break through any roadblocks when you are totally stuck starting an analysis for a new presentation. So I was recently on a coaching call with a digital analyst, and she asked me a question that I actually hear pretty often. It was something to the effect of, sometimes I don't know where to begin with a new analysis or a large data set for a presentation. I don't have a starting point or any sort of direction. I know this challenge quite well as a digital analyst and marketer for 12 years. And for me, it relates to how you relate to something I call the wall. The wall is that delicious, massive chunk of raw, uncut material that's just waiting for you to polish it into gems. And in my agency days, I actually couldn't wait to sit down in front of a fresh wall. They felt like shiny presents under the Christmas tree, just begging to be unwrapped. With every new wall, I would wonder, what stories are hidden within? What are the golden nuggets that I'm going to find that will make my audience shout Yahtzee with enlightened shock and awe? Well, that was most of the time. Other times, the wall felt more like a wall. A dizzying, immovable object that would require the patience of Andy Dufresne chipping away at his prison cell for 20 years using a tiny rock hammer, if anyone remembers The Shawshank Redemption. Awesome movie, by the way. Finding that starting point can be super challenging if you don't have that North Star metric or a keen sense of what your audience is going to be looking for. So I shared with my student Grasshopper a little practice that I started using a few years ago when I would hit a wall with the wall. I used it recently to dig into an upcoming blog post I have around an analysis I'm doing of the Bechdel test. The Bechdel-Wallace test is a set of criteria that measures the representation of women in fiction, whether that's movies, books, short stories, whatever. I had decided to focus on the film industry for this analysis, which provided tons of data to comb through. And it also provided tons of data to comb through. So here's what I did, and here's what you can do. Sit down and mentally grab a beer or a wine, a tea, a coffee, a kombucha, whatever you prefer, and have that with your data as a companion. I hear the lobby bar is an excellent venue. Now imagine your new data set is a friend you haven't seen in ages, and you guys have tons and tons of stuff to catch up on. Now imagine they're sitting right across from you. Yes, I'm serious. What would you ask your data friend in human language? For my Bechdel test, our T-chat sounded something like this. Has Hollywood improved over time in representing women positively and fairly? What directors are strongest and weakest in producing well-represented films? What actors and actresses participate in the most well-represented movies and not? And finally, what movie studios are getting it right, and how has that shifted over time? Through this process, I imagine the data set responding to me with an answer and then thinking about how my next question would form. Those human questions enabled me to form really clear starting points, and the analysis flowed with ease from there. So why does this technique work so well? Well, because it's most likely that humans created this data set. Humans' behaviors and patterns and needs and desires and challenges. Human stories. All translated into strings of digits that can be quantitatively cleansed and crunched by you. I found that if I humanize my data, I can get a glimpse into the stories behind those digits and then create the data visualizations that I need to answer those human questions. This practice also works really well with your data presentation stakeholders and clients. As part of my data presentation and storytelling bootcamp online course, which is opening for enrollment in just a few weeks, I give a list of 8 questions like this that you can ask your stakeholders what they truly need for this analysis and presentation. And this is just one of the key questions that I encourage my students to ask their potential audience. It can help take you from getting that old, give me all your numbers adage, or spending hours in front of your wall trying to figure out where to start, and getting right to meeting your stakeholders' needs. So what'd you think about that strategy? Is it something that you're willing to try? If so, please like or react to or share this post and drop a comment, because I'd love to hear how this tip might have helped you. And keep on the lookout for a new training I'm launching in a few weeks, where I'm going to empower you with the tools that you need from wherever you're sitting in the world right now. Because even though we might be out of sight, you can still be top of mind. That's it for today. Can't wait to hear what you think. Namaste.